Good evening and welcome to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno and I hope you're having a lovely time. Karibu sana to This Is The Day. The children are at home. We're having a holiday that is one of a kind and a long one for that matter. But during this time, as long as our children are also resting, we are supposed to make sure that their education bit is also on check. And that is where, as parents, as guardians, we come in to help our children study during this Christmas season. And today in studio, I have Mr. Anthony Thumbi, who is the Deputy Principal from Aquinas High School and also in charge of academics. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. Is it okay, first of all, for children to study during the holidays?
Yes, it is good for the students to study during the holidays. For one, the course that they are undertaking, maybe if it is the primary section, it is 8 years, we should be done an exam that will be summative. Also, when you come to the KCSE, up to the Form 4, again, you find that things that were done in Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4 will be done, will be tested, and therefore the runners need to familiarize themselves with all what they have been learning, and even during the holidays, because you find that many a times they will not be working. If it's the rural setup, they can only work up to, in the morning they will not be doing something, really. So it is good to engage them. Or sometimes again, if it is in a holiday, it's a urban setup, you find that we don't have so many jobs that they can do, and therefore it would be very good for them to keep in touch with the books to study.
Okay.
Yes.
So keeping in touch with the books, that's
Yes.
the word you used,
Yes.
and that is really important.
Yes.
But there's something that caught my attention. There's a story that was going round, I think it was early this year, let's say around March there,
Okay.
where a student was being forced by the parents to study and not to go out to play. Is it right? Let's just start on that. Is it right to do that?
The two of them, I think, should go hand in hand, because at the end of the day, if you look at the development of the students, the development of the children, they need the psychomotor skills. They need also to interact outside there, so that they can also be able to exercise. And therefore, if we are able to mix the two and marry the two and come up with something that is good, so that like in the early in the morning, maybe they are waking up this, we know it's holidays, they are waking up at 7 or 8, they take breakfast up to 8:30, then then they do some household chores there, then you find that from around 9, you can allow them to study, but again, later in the day, maybe they can go out, they practice a little bit, or they do something, they play, and it's good for them to have the two. Yes.
All right. I feel like we should already make it clear. So at some point, the government banned tuition in the country.
Yes.
And they said during a holiday, then children should not be going to school to study.
Yes.
As a teacher, are you in support of that? Were you in support of that? The fact that our children are not going to school during the holidays?
You see, there is this term of tuition and remedial,
Yes.
that we're supposed to have some of them can be able to undertake remedial classes, because you are helping somebody who is at a lower ebb or a lower grade, and they would like to apply. But the problem came in when you lump them all together, the fast runners, the slow runners, and then you bring them to class, and then you find that now the fast runners, those who have got higher skills, now they start getting bored, and then they say, no, we don't want tuition.
Yeah.
But if you were just dealing with the ones who are just low there, you'll be able to organize those remedial lessons, which are there. Even the TSC kind of ask for them in the teacher TPAD, and you find that it's something that is helping the runners, and that's what sometimes you find that the parents will be able to do. You'll be able, maybe they will look for somebody to help, or maybe they will be lumped together in a place to be taught during the holidays. But when it's called tuition, you misuse the term, it should be a remedial lesson.
A remedial lesson.
Yeah.
That's very important to know. Well, this is Christmas time.
Yes.
And of course, children are supposed to be resting. But we have now the learning bit of it and making sure that they're at par with their education. Keeping tabs with their education. So from morning, because their routine is not the same anymore as during the school days. So what can you say, or what can you advise is the best time for a parent to direct, or rather instruct the children, or to set aside for the children to be studying? Is it during the morning, mchana, ama jioni?
The way our minds are set and the way we receive things, you find that in the morning, the student can be able to do some things that are said to do with sciences or mathematics, and then in the afternoons they can do things that they can be able to kind of interact very well with them, like those who are doing CRI, they can read the Bible at that time and internalize about the parable of the sower. Then even the other subjects like history, the same. This time, if it's in English, then they can read about a book or a storybook, and they'll be able now, they are recreating. But you find that early in the morning, maybe around 9, those morning session hours, then you find that they can be able to tackle things to do with the sciences, maths, those subjects like that. But in the afternoon, again, they go to this other type of subject. So, and in between, maybe around noon up to 2, you can allow them to play around, then come back from 2 to, or from 4, depending on how. And then again, there has to be somebody to supervise. Remember, at the end of it all, you are the parent, and you are investing in this child. And therefore, you need some returns out of it. Yes.
Okay. And that is interesting, because it is scientifically proven that during the morning hours, that is when our brains absorb and pick up things easily.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one, scientific part of it is true, and very true, because now you find that in the mornings you can be able to tackle those science-oriented mathematics their time, and you'll be able to retain. The percentage of retention is higher because the brain is able to store in the long-term memory, both the short-term and long-term memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So continue sending in your questions about everything that you want to know about the learning process of your child during this Christmas time. 0786316316, that is my WhatsApp number, and the SMS line is 20316. In the meantime, Mr. Anthony.
Yes, my name.
Should parents get involved in their children's study?
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Then this is very true. The parents should be able to get involved in the study of their children, and that's why you find that the schools nowadays have moved a point to helping the parents. That toward the end of the term, the teachers are coming up and giving the students assignments that should be done during the holidays, because these assignments are supposed to keep the learners in touch with what they have been learning. If you look at this holiday, it's more than 2 months. Some of them, in fact, by the time they are coming back to school, they have forgotten maybe how to make to write maybe the chemical formula or some things.
Yeah.
But if they're in touch with the books, then you find that they will constantly be able to revise. And you as a parent, is good to liaise with also the teacher of your student, of your child, so that you'll be able to know in what area are they given homework. And even if they were not given holiday assignment, you can also be saying, at the end of it all, let's come up, you sit down with your son or daughter, and then you come up with a program and an exercise book that you'll be seeing every day, or after 2 days you check what has been done, so that we keep them in touch with the books. And remember, at the end of the day, you are helping the person to gain.
Okay, I already have someone who is texting in. A very informative show for especially the parents. But there's something I need to know. Is it okay for a parent to make a timetable for their children? A study timetable, for that matter.
So that they can order up the study timetable. It's good to include them.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day now, everything that we are doing, we have to work together. Remember, you can make the timetable, and then they say, this is for my parent.
This is for mom.
And this is for mom. This is for dad. But this is mine. But if you involve them, and they say, no, instead of us running in the morning for 3 hours, please, mom, let us work for 1 hour 45 minutes. And you start with that first, so that when they see that 1 hour 45 minutes not enough, you'll be able to add. And then in the afternoon again, you agree at what time they can run. Yes, so that at the end of the day, all of us are able to balance and are able to meet at the middle point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of when we were growing up, our parents could help us with homework. And that is very common. You find a parent going through the homework with a child, and at the
Yes.
end of the day, 1 + 1 need 2.
Two. Yes.
So they give the answers.
Yeah.
Is it right as a parent to do that?
Mm,
Give your children the answers to the questions?
in one way or another, it is very true,
Yeah.
and it is very helpful. But you find that I would probably come up with an idea whereby you, as a parent, you ask the child to come up with the answers. Where you find that the answers were not correct, you try to correct them,
Yeah.
but not you supplying the answers, because at that time you are not helping in the process of studying, and you are not helping your son or daughter. But if they are able to come up and you tell them, no, these are questions that you can, maybe I give you a book, please get the answers from here, so that you encourage them to learn research as early as that level. Yeah.
Okay. But at what point, Mr. Anthony, do we balance having fun and resting and studying? Because Christmas is a time to have fun. You
Yes.
know, there's the bouncing castle where you want to expose your children, of course, to the world. And there's also studying. At what point do we create a balance between these two to make sure that as much as they are also studying, they are resting?
Good. I concur with you that the holiday time is a time for rest, but you see now, like the holiday that you have been having for over 7 weeks, they cannot rest for all that time. And bearing in mind and the way they say our environment is, you find that maybe from around 20s is when everybody is talking about the holiday, and therefore at that point, from around 20th all the way to past 25th, that's not an option time for studying.
Yeah.
But before that, maybe since when we closed around November 25th, October 25th, all the way up to now, this is a time now like the parent would are supposed to come up, agree with the son or the daughter about they come up with a timetable, and then the children should be at the same time devising, keep in touch with the books, so that when we open the schools around January, these people are not totally new with what has been happening. They are still in touch, and then you find that immediately we open the schools, many schools you administer what they call the opener exams. And therefore, when they administer the opener exams, you find that somebody who has been revising will be able to get better marks, and will not be discouraged. And they will be able to see that anytime I go the extra mile, then I'm able to reap at the end of it all. And therefore, the study habits start developing. And this is something that I would encourage the parents. We try to do it as early as possible. Even when they're in standard 1, standard 2, but now with the CBC, it's totally different.
Yeah.
But you find that in other classes, we can be able to do that. Yes.
So it's okay. It's okay for parents and guardians to develop that culture among their children.
Yeah, the reading culture. That one, the studying culture. Yes.
I like the point that you have put across, that from 20th to 25th, that is not a very good study time.
Yes.
And I feel you should elaborate a little bit on that part.
Why I'm saying it's not a very, because you find that even the mood in the environment is kind of Christmas mood.
Yeah.
Everywhere you hear the Christmas songs. The church has organized something that you are going to attend to do this before the Christmas time, before the birth of Christ. So you find that the mindset is not ready for studying. It's just like, now let us relax, let us wait for the birth of Christ. For the Muslims, but we also believe that it's Prophet Isa. Yes.
Okay, sawa.
Yes.
There's someone who's texted in, and let me just get this straight. He's saying, my name is Sarah. Thank you for the discussion. I love the conversation. And is it right for a parent to let go of their child when they have refused totally to study? Yani amekata. I am not, Mommy, I am not studying. It's Christmas. How should that parent go about this and making sure that at least you change the mind of your child?
Okay, thank you. That's a very good question. But I think for the parent here is, for one, let us encourage sitting down and talking. The kind of a win-win situation, because it comes a time that you have to say no, you have to put your foot down, and sometimes if it is not working, first of all, talk with your child, and if the child is saying maybe this time no, look at the grades. Maybe the child got good grades, and that's why the child is saying no, I will not study this time. But it is good to talk with him or her and to show the person the need for studying, because even if you go to watch the games like the Premier League, the football, the soccer there, you still find that even the best players are still practicing. They have to go to the field to practice, and practice makes perfect. Yes,
that's really important. There's another question. How do you balance between just the question you've asked? How do you balance between fun time and study time? And that is something that we have already pointed out.
Yes.
But there is a thing about ensuring that your child is not left out when it comes to co-curriculum activities.
Yes.
So is it okay to say that through co-curriculum activities and having this fun, especially during the holiday time, is it also helping in ensuring that the education of our children is boosted in a way or another?
Yeah, that one is helping, because you find that even in a school setup, we have time for games and the time for curriculum implementation. You find that many schools from around 4:10, it is games times. Maybe 3 times in a week or 2 times in a week. And again, on Saturday with a boarding school, then they will be having games. And even the school calendar, you find that the games are there first term, second term. It's only third term when you don't have games. And therefore, they go hard in hard, because again, you cannot put these young fellas, everybody requires time for rest. Even us as human beings, adults, we require time for us to rest. And that's why you find that around Christmas, everybody want to travel for the festive season, and everybody is kind of appreciating the holiday. Yeah, so even for the runners, I believe that one, the co-curricular activity is very, very important. And again, you find that our country, the farthest now we are going, we seeing that we are also kind of all cultures, all talents, we are kind of, they can be paying. Like today we can find someone who is just earning an income from playing soccer. Another one, a musician. And all these people are being embraced in our society. And also with the new curriculum, the CBC, we are saying we identify those talents early and we try to nurture them. But as we nurture them, we are also looking at the other side of curriculum, the education, the knowledge, because you have to have the knowledge in order to extend your talent and to kind of cultivate your talent very well. Yes.
Maxwell is saying, this is very interesting. The program is equipping me for better fatherhood. Big up. That is Maxwell from Nyakach. Thank you so much, Maxwell, for tuning in. And I also have someone who is asking, what about for the children who visit their grandparents during this Christmas festive?
And those children who visit their grandparents during this festive period, they are running around, because a lot of running we carry it through observation. They are able to interact with the rural setup if they are coming from an urban setup. And therefore, as they move from point A to point B, they were also able to study about the environment. If they pass through the Rift Valley, they were able to see for the first time the Rift Valley. They have only heard of it in over the books. If they have gone maybe to Western, they have seen in geography talking about the crying stones. Some of them in Nairobi, maybe where they live, they have not come across cows. Or in fact, they are running a lot, and that is one thing. And also, they are able to appreciate even where you live, and different people from different culture.
Okay. So John is asking, he has said one reason to study is because questions have come from any class gone through. Sasa niulize, is it fair nikiwa form 4, I'm asked for a thing I learnt in form 1, second term, or in class 8, I'm asked for a thing taught in class 4 first term. It is hard for anyone to keep everything in mind for years. This type of system is not fair. That is according to John.
Yes.
And he's saying, we learn things, yes.
Yes.
But they come up in examination and they go as back as a few years back.
Yeah.
What do you feel about what John is highlighting?
Okay. In one or another, you find that for knowledge, you acquire the knowledge and then you're able to comprehend it and to keep it. Just like today, John, you'll be able to be in a class of 100, be in a school whereby you have maybe 300 students. You'll be able to know some. And after 4 years, you can still remember quite a number of their names.
Yeah.
And it will be very bad, your desk mate, when you meet with him or her, after 4 years or 5 years, you start asking somebody, what was your name? So it's good to learn. And that's why also you find that we have talked about US, yes, United States of America, yet we have never been there, but we know the president there. We know a few things about the country. It's good, you're just expanding your mind. Yeah.
And I like the point where you pointed out that children learn from observation.
Yes.
And this especially applies to young children most.
Yes.
Because their mind is still developing. And exposing them to things around them that are helpful for their education. So it takes me to my next point. Sometimes we expose our children to curriculum activities that are not helpful for their education. So as parents, is there a certain kind of way that we are supposed to look at things, especially when we expose our children to these activities and things that are happening around the holiday?
Yeah, and I think that's why also the government at one time or another has come in to come up with a policy of even if this somebody who is going to a social place and they sell of alcohol, then you find that the students, the children will not be allowed to be in that kind of a gathering.
Yes.
Because what we are exposing them to a vice that is not good for them at that point. And therefore, also for the parents, please, it's good also to keep off your children in some of these vices that are not okay, that at the end of the day, they are not helping them. And when you look at the moral value of it, it's not there. Yeah. So I also concur with that. We should not be allowed to expose them, and we should try very hard not to expose them to some of these things.
All right, we have Derek from Kabondo. Derek is saying he loves the conversation. He's being blessed. Thank you so much, Derek, for tuning in. I also have another person who's asking, is it okay for me as a parent to take my child for tuition for the extra classes in a different school?
This one now, it's two-way, because now, supposing these parents, the school where the children are studying is in Nyeri County, and they live in Kisumu. Of course, if the child comes home, you cannot be able to, the cost is prohibitive. And therefore, you can look for somebody in your environment who can be able to help.
So it is okay?
It is okay, yeah.
Okay. And today we're talking about how to help our children study during this Christmas time. And in studio we have Anthony Thumbi, the Deputy Principal from Aquinas High School, to take us through that. Mr. Anthony.
Yes.
What can you say is the importance of studying during holiday?
Okay, we know that this is a holiday that the students are supposed to be relaxing. And at the same time, they do some work. And the good thing with the studying during the holiday, that is one thing that we're encouraging, is because we find that toward the end, many of them have not finished their course study, and therefore they need to constantly practice. Just like I gave the analogy of somebody who is doing, even if you're a footballer, a basketballer, you have to keep on practicing that skill. The same thing now when for us come to studying, you are practicing how to need to retain that skill that you are running, either psychomotor, cognitive, and all those levels of knowledge. And therefore, that's why we are saying, spare some time, come up with a study timetable, so that you are able to keep in touch with what you are running, so that even when you go back for class during the January next year, you find that you not be badly off, and you still be in touch with the books and in touch with what you have been learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And especially now that we have opening exams,
Yes.
sijui midterm.
Especially for the opener exams, whereby you find that quite a number of schools, the performance is not always good. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a comment that has come in. My child is a bookworm. How do I help him? The child does not leave the books. Yeah, it's holiday, but he is every other time on the books and studying.
Okay, thank you. For the bookworm, maybe the parents, you are blessed. Maybe that those will be the prayers of many parents. In fact, if you interact with them, because this is somebody you can be able now to move him or her out. You can always organize how to balance the bookworming. You can drive the person out of the books by maybe organizing. This time we are going for a visit to the Grady, maybe an excursion, maybe a tour, and therefore you find that you'll be able to move the child from the books, because when you change the environment, and of course if they are interacting with other people, will not be with books, and therefore I believe that is somebody now we can be able to nurture. But it takes time, because I know some bookworms really want to be all the times with their books. And that one I think is also happening with the social media.
Yeah.
You find people in a gathering and everybody is in the social
phone.
media, on their phones. Yeah.
And you've talked about social media, and it reminded me of a point maybe that we should talk about. Exposing our children to technology. And in this case, I'm talking about the phones. Children are exposed to their phones at a very early stage, and most of the time they're on their phone. So can this exposure affect the rate at which children study during the holidays? Because most of the time, I mean, they're on phone and not in the books.
Yeah, this one is going to affect them, because I know even a number of parents who have said during the holidays, even if their houses have got Wi-Fi, they don't renew the kind of reconnect, the subscription, they don't renew, because you find that all the time the young ones, they are always in the social media. And then the problem is you cannot be able to filter unless now you have someone who can come and give you that kind of device, which maybe a number of parents are out of touch with it, so that you are able to filter what is coming and what the child can be able to access. And again, sometimes if it is the phone, you have bought airtime, now this airtime you have not, the phone is not able. The child can go to other sites that are not very encouraging. So again, that's an area that we really need to check and to help our children. And it calls for the parent involvement, because quite a number of them, that's the time now you find them straying toward the idea of pornography, watching those dirty materials there. Yeah.
And am I right to say that a parent is allowed to withdraw these devices from their children during this time, especially kama ni wakati wa kusoma? When it's time to study, then you withdraw the devices from the children?
Yeah, every house, in fact, we know you can be able to come up with the ground rules. At this time, this for this time, this the study time. Phones should be kept there where maybe everybody can be able to see them. And after that, after the study is over, then they can pick their phones. And of course, the other thing is you limit them to that site, and then you talk with them, because communication is very, very important.
Yeah.
You have to talk with them. Yes.
Okay. Patricia is saying, please tell that parents that she okay, I don't understand this. Patricia, please text me back, ndo nielewe the message. But we also need to talk about children who do their homework the very last minute. I know that because there is a nephew of mine who keeps doing his homework one day to schools, to the opening day of the schools. And I can say it is affecting his education. So how do you deal with children who wait until the last minute? That is when they do their homework.
Okay, here now kind of they are acting with the old African adage that goes that we learn the last minute. So they are just copying our society, how we do things.
Last minute.
The last minute flash. But you find that now, having known your child is like that, you need to talk to them, sit down. Immediately the school closes, say this week and this week this work has to be done. Because at the end of the day, even if you are, the parent is working, that for sure we know, when you come back, can you get the information from get that assignment today? How far have you moved? Check, even if maybe some things you might have not learned them, but even have that interest of asking where is number one, where are the answers. They will see, and that's one area that you're finding a gap when you are teaching, that in primary these children are very good, they are doing well, but when they come to secondary, the parent says what they are running, I don't know. I cannot be able to help. So you see, already you encourage them, you don't know. You are accepting those are things that cannot be known. If my dad doesn't know, who am I to know? But if you have the interest, you just ask, where is this number one, where are the answers, this one. Number two, then the child will see you have an interest. And because of your interest, that will now, again, you kind of translate it to the child, and the child will see that you are helping, and at the end of it all, the student will be able to gain.
Okay. Yes. Patricia has texted back and asema, it's for the parents who are worried that their child is studying too much, the bookworm. Tell that parent that she has a very good problem. She should leave the young man alone. I'm struggling with the opposite. It's okay to leave him to study.
Yes.
So for Patricia, it's the opposite. The child maybe is having it very rough and does not want to study often.
Yes.
And we also have someone who is texting in and saying, what is the religious position in ensuring that these children study? Just what we were talking about during the break. Where do our religious sectors come in to ensure that they help these children maintain that balance between holiday time and education?
You find that if you look at the churches, they have come in strongly, because like when you're talking about in primary level, you find that these runners encourage every Sunday, if they are the scorers, there is what we call the Sunday schools. If it's now during the holidays, you find that the church will go an extra mile, the Sunday school will still be there, and then they organize for days when the runners can come together, maybe to kind of dramatize maybe a certain verse in the Bible, a certain episode, the Christmas play. So you find the church is really coming in. When you go to those ones who are now in secondary schools, then you find that you'll be in a kind of the youth, we call them the teenagers. And therefore, again, also you find that the church is also involving them. We have programs that are coming in, especially the guidance and counseling. You see also the church is coming in when it comes to the issue of initiation. They are coming in and playing their role. And I believe that which is very, very important, and especially in the character formation, because sometimes you may have that bookworm, but who does not have good characters. And at the end of the day, we are talking about the character is what is very, very, very important. That the two of them, that we have to bring in somebody who is holistic. Yes.
Okay. So how do you deal with those children who turn up to school when the schools are opening? I know it's not yet December, we're still having the holidays, but how do you deal with those children who have not done their homework and they've reported to school? How do you deal with that?
This one, I think it depends with the school. Where the school that we are in question may be. Maybe there is a school whereby you find that the runner will be told you have not done homework. If they are asked to go home, they will be very happy. And therefore, at that point, you find that the teachers will design another method whereby now they kind of detain. Stay here and do the assignment. Stay here together with your parent, please finish the homework, so that also the parent now can be able to be informed, because we are talking about the 3 stones. It's a traditional, the traditional cooking stones. That is, and therefore here we have the parent, the student, and the teacher. And therefore there is nobody who should be encouraged to become a tortoise. That when the going get tough, you do your stone. So the 3 of them, it's a school setup, down, sit here, parent, please help us, so that this runner can be able to do this. Other areas you find that mostly these are learners who maybe they did not use their holiday very well, or maybe some of them just assume that the holiday assignment will not be shared. But you find quite a number of them will come back when they have done the homework, and especially when the school has developed a culture of you have given the holiday assignment, and when they are opening the first day, you are checking that work. Then you encourage them to do it when they are at home. Yes.
Okay. Before we finish this show, maybe there's that parent whose child is very stubborn. They do not want to do their homework on time. They do not want to take part in these co-curriculum activities, and in that child's mind, it's time to rest. What advice would you give to that parent, and maybe also to the children, because we have children who are listening. We have Deborah who is listening from Umoja, and she's 13.
Okay.
Yeah. What advice would you give to this family, this including the parents and also the children?
This one maybe we go back to Kiswahili, mtoto mleavyo ndivyo akuavyo, and maybe if we can borrow from that, because like those of us who have young families, please let us start nurturing them as early as possible. Okay, it might also come in a way that maybe there are a few things, or the environment make the kids slip out of the way you have tried your level best. And what we are doing is there is counseling and guidance department in schools. Please involve them. There is the counseling in the local churches. And also let us also go back to the traditions whereby we used to have the aunties and the uncles who came in to help. And that's why, again, there is a time we talked about, for those of us who are taking their children to the rural home to see their grandparents, remember you're also doing something that will also be done to you, that you are teaching them how to remember you are remembering your parent through them. And therefore, even them, when they are old, they also come to see you when you are old. So for this, I think it's not all lost. Please, if the child is not willing to do, please, through guidance and counseling, the child can be helped, he can be talked to, and you are the parent, you are the first person in that line of guidance and counseling. And I believe where there is a will, there is a way, because we have seen things changing, and then a child who was going forward, and a child who was going in the wrong direction, changing and doing the right thing. Yes.
So does this also apply to the guardians? Do all these rules also apply to the guardians?
In fact, there is something that had escaped my mind, that when you're talking about the parents nowadays, we should talk about the parents and the guardians. The parents and the guardians, because that one is a kind of unconscious bias. Yes. Sorry for that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Anthony, for coming today.
You're welcome.
And I hope you have learned something. Thank you so much for tuning in to This Is the Day. Have a beautiful evening. My name is Sarah Otieno.